Hello, my name's Josh.
I'm Matt.
And we work for Premier Gunite. It's a gunite company doing foundation repair in the upper Midwest. And today we want to talk about the Reed Gunite machines. Right here we have the Lova, and behind us we have the Sova. And there is a lot of different uses for these machines, from refractory, soil retention, foundation repair, building pools, retaining walls, the list goes on. We want to take you through everything about these machines, from the proper air compressors for your application, the proper water pumps for your application. There's different hose sizes that you can use. You got options on the goosenecks. You got options on bowls, wear pads. We'll get into some nozzles, the different types of nozzles for the different applications. And also we're going to get into the initial setup of these machines, how to put them together, how to set everything correctly. We'll show you how to start them, what to look for there, working with your nozzleman, getting everything running correctly, how to fine tune it as it's running. We'll go through a proper shutdown sequence, how to do that correctly, and then we'll go through cleaning it and putting it all back together so that it's ready to go for the next time. There's a lot of things we're going to go over, a lot of different options for things. Like I said, there's a lot of different uses for these machines. So just stick around and we'll show you everything we can. Okay, so before we get into too much detail, tearing this all down and all the inner workings and stuff, I just want to give a basic overview on how it works. How the heck does it get the concrete from this hopper to the end of the nozzle? So first of all, this whole thing is run by air. You can get different ones that run off electric motors. We'll get into that later. But this one runs off of air, so your air is introduced right here. Okay? And then obviously your dry concrete goes in here. Now you can get bags, use this bag breaker. You can have a conveyor, you can convey it in. Lots of different ways to put your material in, whether you're doing refractory or soil retention, foundation repair. Lots of different materials. It all gets entered through this hopper. Once it gets in the hopper, it goes down into this bowl, which looks just like this. And this rotates. This is in the bottom of your machine and it's rotating at all times. Okay? And this is how it gets through the bowl to the hose. So right here you got this on your machine. Your air is coming into here. Take this off so I can show you a little better. This is riding on top of your bowl, just like this. You got a wear pad right there to get your seal, and this is setting in here. Now your air is coming in to this back port right here, which is pushing air down this pocket, and that makes a U shape and pushes it out this pocket, which then comes out this nozzle into your hose. Nozzle into your hose. So if you look down here, you got air getting pushed down through here and back out through here. And this is rotating the whole time. It's filling up as it's coming, shooting it up, and you always got material sitting over top of it. So that's the basic operation of a Reed Gunite machine. Whether it's a Sova or a Lova, it's all the same principle. Lots of different bowl options. Lots of different wear pad options. You got different gooseneck options. And each setup requires a different size air compressor, water pump, all of that. But that's just a real quick overview on how one of these work. There's lots more to get into, and we're definitely going to do that. I just wanted to give you guys an overview of how it all worked. Okay, guys, you got your brand new Reed Lova. This is how it's going to come to you. We're just going to do a quick tear down, the initial tear down, take everything apart for the first time setup, which we'll go over in another video, but I just want to kind of take it step by step how everything comes apart. And some of this stuff will stay together after you get it all set in place, and I'll show you that. But let's just tear this thing down, right all the way down, and pretty simple, but I'll show you how it all comes apart. Got our bead breaker and our handle. Here's your handle for moving it around. Set that off to the side. Take our bag breaker off. We're going to take our screen off. All this stuff just pops right off. We'll take a crescent wrench, or looks like about an inch. Loosen up these 3 bolts here. This just holds the upper portion of the hopper on. All 3 sides here. This is one of the parts that once you get everything all set, you can actually leave the lower and the upper connected, and if you got another guy, you can just set the whole unit right on. Makes it for a little faster, but for the initial teardown, we'll take it all apart, set that off to the side, and then we got our agitator. Take our agitator off. Get down into the wear plate here. Feed hose. Take off your wing nut and your holder here. We'll loosen all these up just so they come off the wear pad or wear plate a little bit. Pop this out. Here's your wear pad itself. Come over here and unscrew this. So here's your wear plate and your gooseneck, and we'll go over it later, but there's lots of different combinations you can have here. If you do need to change this, it's pretty simple. You got to slide this over a little bit to access these screws, and they're just some flathead screws. Take these 4 screws out, and there's lots of different options for your gooseneck. Then when you're done, slide that back over, set that off to the side. This hose here is also interchangeable. If something would happen to it, you blow a hole or whatever, you can get just this piece. It just comes off here with a big wrench. Okay, now we're down to the bottom portion of the hopper. You got a kicker over here. Well, actually first, you got a pin right here. Holds everything in place. Come over to your kicker. Just give it a kick. That unlodges it out of here. Pull that up. Set that over here and flip it up side down, and you'll have your felt. So you want to pull that out so we can get that prepped. Set that over here. And now we're just down to the bowl, and there's lots of different combinations of bowls too. Right here we got a 2-piece 21 pocket setup. So we'll take them off. Set that over here. I like to put my foot on here. This is pretty heavy. Slide that up. Set that off to the side. And we are all tore down. Now we can start putting it back together and get it all set up to shoot. Alright, you guys, we got our Reed Lova all tore apart, brand new machine. This is going to be a video on how to put everything together properly, what to look for, how to get everything set so that it's in a good running condition and it'll run the most efficient. There's lots of things to put together, so I just want to take you through step by step how to get it assembled properly. So the first thing we're going to want to do on our brand new machine here is come right down to where the bowl sits on the machine. And this is a very important step. You want to clean this very good. And like when you're, after you run it and stuff, you're going to get little nicks and burrs on here. So sometimes it's not a bad idea. Take a piece of emery cloth, sandpaper, whatever you got. But for the time being, we're a brand new machine. So we're going to get this all cleaned up here. And this surface has to be absolutely clean. I mean, one little piece of sand on there, that'll throw your bowl off, it'll make your machine run funny. So this is a very, very important step. You want this whole surface cleaned down here. You want your pegs cleaned. Free of any debris, rust, or anything. Also, the main shaft. Make sure them are all tight. Okay, now let's prep the bowl. So we're going to use a 21 pocket 2-piece bowl. We've got the lower section here. We've got the upper section here. It's a very good idea to always use a little grease every time you do it. So we're going to take a little grease and just put on my finger. And I'm going to come through and put a thin layer across the whole bowl. It doesn't take a lot, but what this does is it seals the two bowls together for less chance of air escaping between the two bowls, because you want the air to be going through the pocket like we talked about in the last video on how it works. So I'm just going to go through and do a nice thin layer. And these will get wore down. You'll get cuts and stuff in them from the air. It's actually very abrasive. So periodically we like to take ours and send them into the machine shop and get it resurfaced. You can do that quite a few times on these bowls. Okay, we got a nice thin layer of grease on there. We got our surface cleaned down here. Let's go ahead, put the bowl on. You want to double check right here too. This is where your sandpaper emery cloth would come in handy. If you find a little bit of flash rust on there or burrs or anything, it must be very, 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 very clean. Ours is perfect, and it's ready to go on. Okay, lower section's on. The upper section. Depending on what bowl you have, some of these line up a certain orientation. So this one, you want to make sure that your lower pockets are lined up with your other upper pockets. Otherwise you're going to have a heck of a time shooting. So we got our two bowls put together. Get this all clean. Make sure this surface is pretty clean as well. Cleanliness is the key here on this stuff. Like I said, a little piece of sand will throw you off. Okay, we got our bowl put on. Everything's clean. Everything's ready to go there. Let's get in to getting the bottom part of the hopper put together. And that requires felt. Felt goes in here. Actually, let me show you. The felt rides right along here, okay? And this is what stops your material from falling out over top of the bowl. It's going to ride right here, tie right into your wear pad. So it's a good idea to take a little bit of oil, just soak this felt so that it expands and does its job better. I just like to take a nice little bead all down it. Both sides. You can use pretty much anything. We just like to use motor oil. It seems to work the best for us. Like I said, there's no specific thing you gotta use. Just get that nice and soaked. Okay, we got this prepped and ready to go. Let's put it in the lower section of our hopper. Sometimes these seem like they're a little bit too long, but they're really not. What you want to do is just start on each end like this. Put it in each end here. Put this in this end there, and then just kind of scrunch it together. Tuck it down in there. You want this to seat in pretty good. Once we get it installed, we'll push it back down onto the bowl. But if you got it sticking out too far, when you go to set this on there, you're going to put pressure on the back side of that bowl. The bowl's not going to seat correctly. You're going to have a problem. So I like to push mine down pretty far in here. And then we'll get this put on the machine. Pretty simple. Seated down, just give it a lock. That's locked in. Now the first thing that you want to do before you push your felt down, before you do anything, is you want to put in the agitator. And again, we want to make sure we're clean. So any debris, any flash rust, get some emery cloths, just make sure the surface is nice and clean. And now we're going to put this down, we're going to sandwich the two bowls together so that they run nice, flat, and true. On the Lova, the threads are normal, and on the Sova, the threads are reversed. We can go over the Sova too. That is a one-piece bowl. Get this on, we'll lock it in. Ready to go. The next thing that you're going to want to do is the rock guard. This will get wore down over time too, and when you take your bowl to the machine shop, you can take this and have them resurface this as well. You want this nice and flat as well. What this does is breaks off any rocks or big chunks it tries to get before it gets into your hose. So we got our rock guard, we got our 4 bolts, 3/4 inch wrench. We get this set into place. It goes right down in here. Bolts on right here. So what you want to do, start with the bottom bolts. We're just going to run them in loose at the moment. Okay, you got your rock guard in. Bolts are loose, you can wiggle it around. I like to leave the top bolts out. Take a business card. This is your depth gauge. You're going to want to set that rock guard 1 business card width above your bowl. So run that down. Grab my wrench. Socket, whatever you got. You just want to make sure you can move this business card around in there nice and free. Make sure I have. You gotta be careful because sometimes tightening these down will push down on the rock guard. So just make sure you can move that business card around, which I can. Okay. Just that up just a little bit. Here we go. Perfect. Get our top 2 bolts put in, and then we'll tighten them all down.
Now once you have this rock guard set, you don't need to change it. It's a good idea to check it. You shouldn't have to adjust it unless you take your bolt and get it machined down, and then your clearances are going to be different. So then you'll want to adjust it. But it's a good idea to keep an eye on it. Make sure you always got that gap with the business card. Okay, we got our rock guard set. Now it's a good idea. Take a screwdriver. This is where that felt. We said we we're going to push the felt back down the bowl. Now we're going to come down and just put really good pressure on this felt and get it seated against that bowl down there. This is what stops the concrete from falling out while your machine is running. So we got this felt. Push down all the way around. You want it to squish down in there a little bit. Okay. Everything's looking good so far. Now we're going to put the top piece onto the hopper. Just got your little bolts that tighten down on there. Put them all finger tight, and I'll come through. Press wrench. Don't forget your pin, guys. After you lock it in, you gotta drop your pin. Place. Okay, we got this all assembled. It's ready to go. Let's talk about the wear plate and the gooseneck. We got a lot of different options, goosenecks that these machines can take. I'm not going to get into them all right now, but here's just two different styles. We got the solid neck right here. Believe it or not, this will wear out over time, but it's a really thick. You can see how thick that is. It's just a one-piece gooseneck. Works good for smaller hoses and whatnot. You can get it up to 2-inch. And then we got the 2-piece with the liner. And then you just change out your liner every time it wears out, which these do last a long time too. But that's real simple. We just slide the liner in. And then you got a little screw here. Hold the liner in place. Tight. Then it's just the 4 screws holding down your gooseneck. And you want to make sure that you're using the right size gooseneck for the right size hose that you're using. It makes a difference with wear pads that you're using. There's lots of different combinations. We'll get into all that, but I'm just kind of so you know. Here is an 1.5-inch gooseneck, and let's get this mounted on here. And we'll put it on the machine. Okay, once we make sure that we got all of our bolts nice and tight, make sure this. Once you got your bolts nice and tight, you'll have to slide this back over so it touches just how everything lines up good on the machine. But this is ready to go on now. Again, you want a clean surface. When you come in here, you'll get some concrete build up in here. You want to chip that out of there. Make sure this is all nice and clean. I like to put a little oil here, just so we can get that good meeting surface onto our wear pad. And same thing with the wear pad. Put a little oil on here too. Believe it or not, the concrete as you're going for that initial startup. Works nice. So you got this looped up nice. Just gonna slide this down in here now. Make sure that this lip goes to the right and this lip is facing up. You want the flat surface on top of your bowl. Slide that in here. Seat it up really nice. We're in there good. We got the correct wear pad. We got the correct gooseneck. Ready to go on. Just make sure these are opened up. You'll see these are 3 separate points to where it pushes down the wear pad or the wear plate onto the wear pad. And this will slide into here. You want that seated back all the way. And we'll take these and get a little bit of pressure, all 3 of these. I like to put a little bit of pressure on them, just to hold it in place. And then put my guard on down here. Make sure you got it in the corners. Everything's lined up. Put your wing nut on. This goes all the way tight. Then we'll come back up to here. This is where you want even pressure on all 3 of these. So they're pointing down onto the wear plate. So come through and just make sure this is key. Like too much pressure, you'll put a lot of strain on your motor. Not enough pressure, you're going to get a lot of air leaks. So you'll have to play around with it. But get yourself good even pressure on all 3. Back it off, go down, so it feels the same. That feels good. Then we'll come over here. Thread this on. That's tight. Grab your screen. Breaker. Now you're fully assembled. Everything is clean. Everything is put together like it's supposed to be. We got lube on our felt. We got lube on our wear plate. This is ready to go. Another thing you're going to want to make sure is ready to go is your oiler. So if you want to look at this, water separator and oiler. This just oils your air motor. So good rule of thumb to get started is pull this green ring up, turn this all the way in, that's off. We like to start 1/2 to 3/4 turn out. And then now when you're running your machine, you can watch this eyeglass. You want to see a drip of oil every 10-15 seconds or so. You can play with that as it's running too. A good indicator that you're getting too much oil is you're just going to have a whole bunch coming out the exhaust. Go ahead and turn it down a little bit. You just want constant drip of oil in this thing. Helps keep it going for a long time. Gives it everything it needs. So there's that. Water separator, before we start, just come down here. Make sure there isn't any water in there. Get that emptied. Okay. We're completely set up and we're ready to get hooked up to our compressor and we're ready to hook up our hoses and all that. So now it's ready to go. Okay, let's talk about air compressors. What does it take to run Reed Lova? Well, first of all, you can run a Reed Lova on anywhere from a 210 all the way up to like 1200 CFM. It all depends on the combination that you have. We have an air-powered motor and an 1.5 feet hose. So we're going to need at as our feed hose is equal to or bigger than our shooting hose, we're good. What you don't want is like an inch feed hose and a 2-inch outlet hose. It's just not going to work. So we got our air compressor, and that's all ready to go. We know what we need, different combinations, different setups. For this purpose, 400 CFM, got hooked up about 150 PSI, 400 CFM, that's going to run this thing good. The other thing that you're going to need is a good water pump. Now you can get electric ones, you can get air-driven ones like this one. Anything that gets your water pressure up to like 100, 150 PSI. Because you want consistent water pressure to your nozzleman. Because we're going to talk about all the little holes in here that just need that consistent water pressure. So a water pump is a must-have. This one is a air-driven diaphragm pump. The water inlet would come from here, any old garden hose hookup. Outlets right here, air right here, and then you're going to want to get a high burst pressure garden hose. And that'll hook up right from your outlet on here to your needle valve on your gun. Okay, then one more option that we have here is a setback watering, and you're going to want to use this when you want more control of your rebound. It gives it a much longer space to mix. And let me show you how this works. So you got your normal tip on your end here, but it takes this watering and puts it back here. You put your pressurized water into here, you got your needle valve right here, and then it runs the water back down, mixes it in the water chamber right there. Gives you this much to mix instead of this much. And it, like I said, it really does help control the rebound aspect of things, especially in like tight situations and all that. Now, when you're done shooting, it's very important, just like the machine, it's very important to keep all these components clean every time you use it. You're going to want to come through, you're going to want to take your hose off. Let me back up a second. When you're going to shut down, and we'll talk about this later when we talk about how the machine starts and stops, your nozzleman is going to have you shut the material off, but he's going to leave the air running. And what you're going to want to do is open this up, and that air will be blowing, and you're going to run straight water through it, and that's going to flush everything out. Then you shut down, and when you're doing your cleanup, it's important to still take this apart like we had it. Take that water ring right out of there. You really want to make sure there's no buildup in here. You're going to want to inspect your water ring. Make sure all your holes are open. If you have a plugged water ring, it'll really affect how it shoots. Some of it will be hydrated, some of it won't. You get dry spurts. It just won't be consistent. So keeping it clean is key. So tear it all down, spray it all out, get it nice and clean. Use like a torch tip cleaner to clean out these holes. Just be careful because they're that size for a reason. It's all so that it can get pressurized and evenly dispersed. So get your holes cleaned out, make sure they're good to go. Clean out your nozzle, which shouldn't have much concrete in there. You'll get a little buildup around the edges and whatnot, but this should be fairly clean if the nozzleman shut it down correctly. Get it all cleaned up. Make sure it's good to go. And reassemble it. This. This. And you're ready to go the next time.